Yes. I mean, no one questions an ERP is needed because every company spends a lot of money on the ERP, a lot more than they should. That's how it ends up being, right? People start with NetSuite implementation thinking that it's going to cost them 50K, 60K. And then they realize on the way that it ended up costing them 300,000, 400,000 just for implementation. So the money already exists. We are not trying to come in with a new budget. It's a matter of like we can do that more efficiently, more nimble, especially in the world of AI. It gives you an equal footing. An example for me is like recon, right? Every day you try to compare your Shopify's like e-com platforms inventory count and what is in the warehouse and be able to see why the differences are exist. And it is like hundreds of rows. Maybe
Mm,
AI could do a step further and say, is there any pattern it is seeing? Because if it sees a pattern, then that helps the user to do this recon so easily than spending hours checking the numbers.
absolutely. For those audience who are listening to us and they don't not familiar with the entire conversation about how something like head of artificial intelligence at Good Day Software will do, or what does the software do in specifics. I mean, I know it's an ERP for e-commerce, but can you explain it a little bit more in details? I guess just to give an appreciation to what the software does and what is your role like head of artificial intelligence. I mean, that's pretty unique. You
Think rules doesn't matter in startups. It's like a five people engineering team. We
do
just have
everything,
fun
right?
building. Yeah. That's exactly why I wanted to be in startups, right? So
Yep.
I wouldn't so over index on the role. It just says that in the team, my responsibility is just like concentrate more on AI parts so that we
Okay.
don't end up always picking up non-AI related tasks and just like kicking it down the road. That's it. In terms of prioritization, it gives me a little more leeway into saying like, hey, I want to do this part of the work. But in generally for good day, if you are a Shopify brand, Shopify is the biggest e-com platform in US at the very least, and they are, I guess, in the world as well. If you are in Shopify, if you are running your business out of Shopify, there will come a time where you will outgrow Shopify for managing your back office operation. What does this mean? In typical life cycle of an e-com brand, you write a purchase order. The purchase order goes to a factory and the factory ships things,
Hmm.
comes to your warehouse and you sell. The process might look simple, but there are so much complexities involved behind the scenes. Sometimes it takes 6 months, sometimes it takes a year for purchase order to plan and come. And your planners, you themselves also need to think about how to plan. And even within e-com, things gets more and more complex. For example, in fashion, it's seasonal. You need to plan when things are coming in, and you get only like 4 to 6, 8 weeks to sell. Sorry, 8 to 12 weeks to sell a season. But at the end of the season, you also need to liquidate those values. So, and then you need to be able to reorder the next one because it's a heavy cash flow heavy business. So, what does that mean? That you need to have data that is very clear that says how much you have on hand, how much inventories you are planning to get incoming? What is your sales throughput to calculate? Like, do you need to do reorders? So we, as a platform, gives you that robust stability and the data for you to operate your business every day. If you take any e-com business, the life cycle works is like you start with Shopify. You probably will be like working with just one or two factories. Everything works. But once you want to scale, then you hire people, more people come in, then you need to start writing more purchase orders, then you need to like think about splitting the purchase orders. Air shipping might be expensive, but can start selling sooner. Ocean shipping is cheaper, but you need to wait for it before you start selling it. So you might do split shipments. More and more complexity starts the bigger you become.